Hello guys, and welcome to episode 2 of the Mud Hub, where I answer frequently asked questions on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram from you guys about being a creative, life as a creative, freelancing, being a poet, all of that stuff. In episode 1, we were kind of discussing my step into creative life and working as a creative, and how Mud Press really was my first step onto the ladder. In this episode, we're going to talk about what happened after Mud Press was set up. Mud Press was officially a business. We were selling our first book, Hunger, and I had graduated. I was still working for Candlestick Press, but I lived alone. So the wage that I was getting from Candlestick Press wasn't enough to really support me forever with all of the bills and everything that you have to pay alone. So I decided to look into taking another job that would mean that I had a little bit more disposable income that I could then feed into Mud Press and also feed into my career as a poet. Because don't forget, all through university I was writing and performing my poetry with the Mouthy Poets and at gigs in town, and so I needed a bit more income to supplement the life that I wanted to lead. So I unfortunately had to make the difficult decision to leave Candlestick Press, and I started my career as a learning designer at BYG Systems, and that was in 2015, I think. Yeah, it was a very, very quick year that year. So yeah, I started my career as a learning designer at BYG Systems, and that was a 40-hour-a-week office job. Big clients, really, really corporate world, but I was a learning designer, which meant that I was writing scripts. So that's really how I made my income for the next 2 years. So 2015 to 2017, I was just working in an office, and all of my free time was dedicated to either myself performing and running from the office to grab a McDonald's and jump on the stage at a gig, or formatting Mud Press anthologies. We've been open for 3 years and we've done 6 releases. So in that time, it's been a real juggle of working the 40-hour-a-week office job and then doing Mud Press in wherever I could and gigging myself wherever I could. It was great. It was great fun. I made amazing friends, and I've learned a skill now that helps me survive to this day, which we'll get to. So a typical day in the life of working at my office job for 2 years was I'd turn up for my shift, 8:45, logging on for 9, power through the day, deal with all the client calls, script the script for whatever online tool that they needed, go through amends for other scripts I've done. You're normally working on like 3 clients at the same time, if not more. And so the days were really hectic. And then in the evening it would be, I've got a 10-minute set at Jam Cafe, or I've got a 10-minute set at the Angel, or wherever. So I would finish work, get changed in the bathroom, and run into town and do whatever set I'd kind of compiled the night before on the stage. That's how I survived for 2 years. I really was, jumping from desk to stage, or jumping from desk to the printers. And then the Poet Laureate programme came about, and I saw it and was like, oh no, I couldn't go for something like that. And my friends and old tutors were like, you're crazy, you need to apply for this. So thanks to others, I applied. The application process was a 2 sides of A4 letter answering some questions that they'd put to you. Why do you want this role? What have you done so far with poetry? What would you bring to the table? So I sent off the form, and they also wanted some videos of you performing your work, and they wanted some written examples of your work just to get a feel for the kind of thing you were writing and the kind of genre of poet you were, I guess. Yeah, and then I got a phone call from the wonderful Sandy of Nottingham City of Literature, who said, you have made it to the final 4, to which obviously I was ecstatic, couldn't believe it. I got off the phone to Sandy, ran back into my room at work and was like, guys, oh my God, I've been shortlisted. And it was all the talk of the office for the next month, really, while I tried to prepare a set, because the next stage in the process was we were all invited to the Angel in town to perform alongside each other, and the decision was kind of made not really off the back of that. Apparently, they already sort of knew who they'd pick, but they wanted like a celebration of all the 4 shortlisters, and also just a chance to see them live to make sure their decision decision was final. So that was pretty terrifying. A lot of pressure. Our names were randomly picked out of a little hat with these gold envelopes. All of us were a nervous wreck, you know. The finalists were myself, Cleo Asabre-Holt, Ty Healy and Chris McLaughlin. But off the back of that, I found out they picked me. So I had the decision to make. How do I be Poet Laureate and deliver all of the teaching workshops and all of that stuff? I was working 40 hours a week. I couldn't do it. So I spoke to some friends who were freelance learning designers, got an interview with another company that allowed you to be freelance with them, and said, look, I probably need about 3 days a week of work and the rest of that time would go towards my career in poetry. And this company said, yes, we would like to have you and we'll support your schedule with your poetry work. So very quickly I became the Poet Laureate and in the same month quit my job. But the good thing was the company that I went freelance with, although it was freelance, I was kind of contracted into a period of time with an organisation. It's just that organisation doesn't have an office. It's all at home like this. And that's how I've been earning my money since November 2017. It has quietened down and my arrangements are changing soon, which means I won't have a regular income to rely on, which is terrifying. I don't know what I'm going to do. But, you know, I've been Poet Laureate since September now, so I've made a lot of contacts. I'm hoping that I can rely on those to get the rent paid and the car insurance paid. But yeah, up until this point, it has been a case of me working an office job or working 3 days a week freelance to support me being a poet. And I think for a lot of people, that's normality. That's how creatives do it. You know, a lot of my friends who are in the creative world have corporate contracts on the side or have responsibilities with organisations such as schools. You know, that works really great for them because it's still kind of a creative world. And even for me as a learning designer, it's not creative in the sense that being a poet or being an artist or being a musician is, but you're still being asked to design an online solution and script something that's engaging for the people who are wanting to learn from what you're writing. So yes, it's difficult, really difficult, and it's hard to juggle everything I do with Poet Laureate and that, but I'm in a position where those 40 hours a week I was doing for 2 years have taught me a skill that I can now really, really monetize in a freelance capacity in order to do my poetry and write and produce mud press books. I'm not going to lie, I'm definitely operating at capacity and I drop balls all the time. You just got to take it in your stride and you just got to do your best and be upfront with people, really. So yes, my primary income comes from the corporate freelance work that I do and then is supplemented by poetry. And let me tell you, at the minute, my poetry money is going towards paying off the credit cards. So it's not as glamorous as you might think, but it is just amazing and it makes my life what it is, and I get to write what I want to write and do what I want to do. Here's to being a creative freelancer juggling 50,000 jobs. So I hope that's answered some of your questions about how I got to where I am now. Georgina, who originally asked the question on Twitter, I know I split this one into 2 parts because it was really important for me to set up Mud Press and then to talk about everything that came after that to support that poetry career. So thank you guys, I hope that this has helped you. And again, if you have any questions about what we've talked about here or some new questions that you want to ask, please comment them or tweet me or get in touch and I will do my best to answer them. Thank you very much for tuning in and I'll see you episode 3.